I woke up to the sound of something shifting in the dark. At first, I thought it was just the floorboards creaking. My house does that when the night air settles. But when I rubbed my eyes and let them adjust, I realized the shadow at the foot of my bed wasn't furniture, wasn't clothes thrown carelessly on the chair. It was standing, upright. My stomach clenched before my brain caught up, because it wasn't a person. No, what I was staring at made even less sense than an intruder. His body was made of cubes, rigid, blocky shapes stacked in an impossible geometry. Its head twitched side to side in short, jarring snaps like bad frame drops. And its skin, if you could even call it that, was textured like pixels. Green pixels. A zombie. A Minecraft zombie. I froze. Not because I believed what I was seeing, because I didn't. The logical part of my mind was screaming, "You're dreaming, you're hallucinating, you're overtired." But the other part, the part that watched its jagged arms slowly raise toward me, knew damn well that dreams don't breathe. Dreams don't shuffle one stiff, clunky leg forward, shaking the floorboards with each step. I swear I could hear the sound effect, that guttural moan from the game, but it was distorted, corrupted, like someone had dragged the audio file across sandpaper. I wanted to scream, but my throat locked. I wanted to move, but my limbs were useless weights pinned to the mattress. And just when its shadow loomed over me, just when I thought those pixelated fingers were about to close around my neck, the thing blinked out. No sound, no puff of smoke. 1 second it was there, the next gone. My chest heaved as though I'd been underwater. I sat there in the dark, shaking, sweat rolling down my spine, convincing myself I'd imagined everything. But deep down I knew I hadn't, because you don't just imagine the smell of damp dirt left in a room that was clean seconds before. And you don't just imagine that faint, blocky growl echoing in you. This wasn't a dream. It was real. And it didn't start in my bedroom. It started hours earlier, at 3 a.m., with a download I never should have clicked. A free Minecraft mod. I've never been a morning person. If anything, I'm the kind of person who feels most awake when everyone else is asleep. My parents always called me a night owl, but that makes it sound poetic, like I'm some wise creature gliding silently through the night. In reality, it's just me slouched in a computer chair at 2 or 3 in the morning, snacking on stale chips and staring at the glow of my monitor while the rest of the house is silent. Some people say nothing good happens after midnight. I used to laugh at that. Midnight was when the distractions finally stopped, when the world finally shut up long enough for me to breathe. Better mining diamonds at 3 a.m. than doom-scrolling TikTok, right? At least that's what I told myself as I booted up Minecraft, half hoping I'd stumble into some inspiration for a new build. Minecraft was my comfort zone. No matter how stressful school got, or how much my part-time job drained me, I knew I could log in and dig down into a new world until I hit bedrock. It was simple, predictable, safe. And that night started just like any other. Headphones on, fingers drumming against the keys, mind wandering while I chopped wood and watched the blocky sun rise. I wasn't tired. I was restless. And when I get restless, I start to look for ways to shake things up. Mods were always my fix. New textures, new mobs, new biomes. It was like reinventing the game I'd been playing for years. I'd been on the same handful of sites 100 times before, browsing fan creations like a kid in a candy store. Some were genius, some were trash, but they all scratched that itch. But that night, something was different. I don't even remember how I got there. One link leading to another, one page redirecting me until I landed somewhere unfamiliar. The layout was plain, almost empty. No ads, no flashing banners, no screaming "download now." Buttons that usually screamed, "Enjoy your new malware." Just a white background, a single search bar, and a list of mods with names that were off. Not broken English off, but unnervingly plain. Stuff like survival enhancements, lighting fix, mob pack 1. It looked sterile, clinical, like whoever made it didn't care about selling the mod, they just wanted it to exist. That should have been my first warning sign. Instead, I scrolled, and scrolled, and then I clicked. There it was, tucked in the middle of the list, a file labeled simply Night Resource. No description, no preview images, no comments, just a single, unassuming download link. If I had logged off right then, shut down my computer, and gone to bed like a normal person, I probably wouldn't be sitting here telling you any of this. My life would have stayed boring, predictable, and safe. But I didn't. I clicked. And that's when everything started to change. The download was almost too quick. You know how most mods make you wait through a couple sketchy ads? Maybe even slap a captcha in your face before they trickle onto your desktop at snail speed? Not this one. The second I clicked Night Resource, the file was just there, sitting in my downloads folder like it had been waiting for me. That alone should have been my first red flag. But no, I was too curious, too restless, too wired from caffeine and the weird stillness of the house at 3 a.m. I double-clicked it, expecting the usual compressed folder. What I got instead was a strangely organized package. Textures, data, a handful of .class files, and one thing that stood out immediately, a readme.txt. Nobody ever actually reads those, right? They're usually just a wall of broken instructions or a brag from the modder. Still, I clicked. The text inside wasn't instructions. Not exactly. The first half looked like nonsense. Rows of symbols, half-legible words, and what might have been corrupted code. But sprinkled through the static were English phrases. Fragments like, "You opened it / you dug too deep / do not look further / it sees." I should have closed it right there. Deleted everything. Pretended I'd never even touched the site. Instead, I scrolled. And that's when I saw it. A single line buried near the bottom of the file. A line that made the hairs on my arms stand straight up. I'll tell you what it said later. For now, just know it hasn't left my mind since. Before I could process it, my mouse started lagging. Just a tiny hitch at first, but enough to make me pull my hand back. The cursor twitched across the screen on its own, like invisible fingers were nudging it pixel by pixel. My monitor flickered. A faint, tearing line of static crawled up the display before vanishing. I swallowed hard, palms suddenly slick. That was probably just a glitch, right? My rig wasn't brand new, and I'd been pushing it for years with mods and shaders. It was bound to hiccup. Still, I opened Discord. I had a couple of friends online, other night owls wasting their sleep schedule. I typed out a quick message. Me lol just downloaded a sketchy mod. If my PC fries, rip me. The reply was almost instant. Derek bro, you're gonna regret that. I smirked at the screen. Yeah. Seen worse. Except, I hadn't. When I tried to drag the new folder into my Minecraft mods directory, my system froze for a full 3 seconds. The desktop icons vanished, then returned. A chill ran down my back when I noticed that the new folder wasn't where I'd left it. It had moved itself. Instead of sitting in downloads, it was already inside the mods directory, like the game had pulled it in on its own. Okay, I muttered, trying to laugh it off. That's not creepy at all. The icon for the mod wasn't normal either. Most came with a generic zip or folder graphic. This one shimmered. Not literally glowing, but the pixels seemed off. Compressed, stretched like a bad texture file. Every time I looked at it, I felt like the edges didn't quite match, as if the folder was breathing. I pinged Derek again. Me. Dude, it like installed itself lol. No reply this time. Whatever. I shrugged it off. It wouldn't be the first time my system did something weird. I told myself I was imagining things, that exhaustion was playing tricks on me. But I couldn't shake the gnawing curiosity. Every sensible part of my brain screamed to delete it, wipe the folder, restart, and run a virus scan. But the restless part, the part that had clicked download in the first place, wanted to know what Night Resource actually did. And curiosity always wins with me. So I opened the launcher. If I had known what that line in the README really meant, I never would have touched the start button. But by then, it was too late. Booting up Minecraft always gave me a little dopamine kick. The splash text blinking across the title screen, the comforting menu music, it was familiar, safe. A digital blanket I'd wrapped myself in 1,000 times before. That night, the game loaded faster than usual. No lag, No long pause between Mojang's logo and the menu. It just snapped open, the yellow splash text jittering like it couldn't sit still. I caught a glimpse of a phrase, something like dig deeper, before it flickered back to normal. I told myself I imagined it. I created a new world, slapped in night test as the seed, and clicked start. The terrain generated like always. Blocky plains, a forest stretching into the fog, the cheerful sound of chickens clucking in the distance. For a moment, I felt stupid for being paranoid. Maybe this was just some abandoned mod project that never got finished. But then I noticed the sky. The sun was in the wrong place. Not overhead, not rising or setting. Just hanging there, half eclipsed by static gray clouds that didn't move. I laughed under my breath, shaking my head. Okay, I said to no one. Creepy vibe. Not bad. I mined some wood, crafted the basics. Everything seemed functional. Maybe the weird textures were intentional, part of the night theme. Still, the longer I played, the more things felt off. The first mob I ran into was a pig. Its texture looked stretched, its eyes too wide, pupils tiny black dots that locked on me the moment I got close. Normally pigs just wander, but this one froze, staring straight at me. I swung at it with a wooden sword. Instead of squealing and running, it just stood there, unblinking until the final hit. When it died, it didn't drop pork. It dropped nothing. My Discord pinged. Derek, so? Did you brick your PC yet? I chuckled, typing back one-handed while keeping an eye on the frozen sun. Nah, it's just creepy pigs lol. Textures are weird though. Derek, LMAO send us. I tried. But when I hit F2 for a screenshot, nothing happened. No camera sound, no saved file. My keyboard hiccuped, then kept working like nothing was wrong. That's when the music started.
Not the usual cheerful background melody, but the same tune slowed down, warped. Notes dragged in reverse, echoing faintly like they were playing underwater. It made my chest feel tight. Okay, this is sick, I muttered, half laughing, half unnerved. Whoever made this mod went all out. But inside, I wasn't convinced this was just clever modding. I built a quick shelter as night fell, or at least, as the static clouds darkened the sky. That's when the zombies spawned. First, they looked normal. But instead of wandering randomly, every single one of them turned in perfect unison to face me. My stomach dropped. Derek? I whispered, then laughed nervously at myself, like he could hear me. They didn't rush me. They just stood there, dozens of blocky faces in the fog, swaying slightly like their idle animation was broken. Then one of them stepped forward, and my in-game chat lit up. A zombie. Hello? My real name. I froze. My fingers hovered useless over the keyboard. I hadn't entered my real name anywhere. My Minecraft account was an old IGN, not even close. Okay, I muttered. Nope. Discord pinged again. Derek, yo? You gone quiet, dude. I typed frantically. Me, bro, the game just said my name. Derek. Stop trolling lol. Mods can't do that. But the chat wasn't done. Zombie. We see you. Zombie. You shouldn't be here. Every mob on screen began moving again. Slow, deliberate, closing in from all sides. I slammed ESC trying to disconnect, but the pause menu wouldn't open. My mouse lagged, twitching across the screen as if it was being pulled. The sound of distorted moaning filled my headphones, overlapping, building into a wall of static. And then something appeared in my inventory. I didn't place it there. I didn't craft it. It was just there. A single block I had never seen before. This icon glitched, flashing between stone, dirt, and something red I couldn't identify. No name, just a blank gray label.
I felt my throat go dry. Before I could click it, my whole computer stuttered. The game froze, then minimized itself. My desktop wallpaper flickered, replaced for a split second by a screenshot of my own room, taken from behind me. I whipped around so fast my chair squeaked, heart hammering. The room was empty, silent, When I looked back at the screen, the mod had reloaded on its own. And the block was still sitting in my hotbar, waiting. Mods don't do this. That was the thought I kept repeating like a mantra, as if saying it enough times would tether me back to reality. But no matter how many times I muttered it under my breath, nothing about what I was seeing or hearing made sense anymore. The game thundered. A low rumble rolled across the pixelated sky. At the same time, the ceiling light above my desk flickered, humming faintly before stabilizing. I froze. My finger hovered over the escape key, but I didn't dare press it. Then the thunder struck again, and this time my lamp died. The screen was the only thing glowing in my room now, that block still pulsing in my inventory like a heartbeat. I leaned closer, swallowing hard. Okay, maybe it's just coincidence. Power surge. Nothing to do with crunch. I snapped my gaze downward. There were dirt particles scattered across my desk. Brown crumbs, specks of blocky grit, sitting right beside my keyboard like I just mined a patch of earth inside my room. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. I shot up from my chair, backing away. My eyes darted between the glowing screen and the physical debris, trying to rationalize. It wasn't real. Couldn't be real. Maybe my ceiling had leaked dust. Maybe the crunch came again. This time it wasn't under my fingers. It was under my foot. I looked down, heart racing. Tiny blocky fragments were smeared across the carpet, sharp-edged and pixelated, like something had rendered halfway into my world and halfway out. The air felt heavy, charged with static. My monitor flickered. The block in my inventory glitched between textures, then stabilized dark red, like bloodstone, though I'd never seen it before in any mod or update. And then my keyboard began typing by itself. Clack, clack, clack. Letters appeared in the Minecraft chat box, one at a time. We told you to leave. I stumbled backward, shaking my head. No, I didn't type that. The keys pressed again, faster this time. You didn't listen. My Discord pinged. Derek again. Derek. Dude, stop ghosting. You are freaking me out. Tall, broad-shouldered. At first glance, he looked like Steve, the default Minecraft skin. Blue shirt, jeans, stiff arms. But the longer I looked, the more wrong it became. His body jittered, glitching between flesh and pixels, each movement breaking like corrupted frames of a video. His skin flickered from smooth human tones to flat textures and back again, never settling. And his face wasn't complete. Where Steve's square eyes should have been, there were only hollow sockets, shifting between empty black and something white, unfinished. Like the code hadn't rendered fully. Like I wasn't supposed to see it. I tried to scream, but the sound stuck in my throat. The thing tilted its head in one broken, stuttering motion, like a video buffering. Then it spoke, but not through its mouth. Through my speakers, through my phone, through the old TV in the corner that I hadn't turned on in years. Every screen in the room blinked awake, spilling static light, displaying the same blocky chat log in distorted letters. Alright? You shouldn't have dug so deep. Forming a structure. It was forming something alive. Couldn't look away. My heart pounded against my ribs, and sweat rolled down my neck. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. Something dark sitting on my desk, right where the dirt particles had been. A block, not on screen, not pixels. A real red block, faintly glowing, its edges jagged and sharp, exactly like the one inside the game. My stomach flipped. I backed away so fast I slammed into my bed frame. No, this isn't possible. I wanted to type back, to tell him everything, but the keyboard wasn't mine anymore. Every time I reached for it, the keys would jam under invisible hands, firing out their own commands. Thunder rolled in-game again. The lights in my room flashed with it, perfectly in sync, like my world was nothing more than another texture pack layered over something deeper. I tried pulling the power cord. I yanked it hard enough that my monitor went black, fans spinning down, silence swallowing the room. For 3 seconds, I stood there in the dark, breathing hard, relieved. Then, without me touching a thing, the PC whirred back to life. The screen lit up, not with the BIOS logo, not with Windows, but straight back into Minecraft. My world, loaded in exactly where I left it. The block still in my hotbar. The zombies still staring at me through the fog. And then came the sound. At first, it was muffled, distant, the gravelly groans of Minecraft mobs. But it wasn't coming from my headphones. It was coming from behind me. I spun around. My room was empty, silent. Then the groan came again, closer. This time, layered with the faint, distorted sound of Enderman static. I covered my ears, but it didn't stop. The noise wasn't just in my head. It was bleeding into the air itself, vibrating in the walls. I thought about running, about leaving my room, locking the door behind me, maybe even smashing the PC to pieces. But I couldn't move. My body felt glued in place, caught between the glow of the monitor and the oppressive dark pressing against the edges of the room. On screen, my character's inventory shifted. The block moved on its own, sliding from the hotbar into the middle of my screen. Plop, placed itself. A single red block appeared before me, hovering in the pixelated world. My character didn't move. My mouse didn't twitch. It had placed itself. And then, slowly, it began to spread. 1 block became 2. 2 became 4. The red stone oozed outward, building into a shape, jagged and organic. It wasn't. The groans got louder, overlapping with the sound of distant thunder. My lamp flickered again, then blew out entirely, plunging me into the cold glow of the monitor. I grabbed my phone, fumbling with the flashlight, but before I could turn it on, the screen vibrated in my hand. A notification. Unknown number. Don't turn around. I froze. My blood went ice cold. Slowly, I raised my head toward the monitor. My character was no longer alone. Standing in the fog, beyond the mass of zombies, something taller loomed. Black, faceless, glitching in and out of existence like bad code. An Enderman except wrong. Its limbs too long, its proportions jagged. Every time it flickered, it appeared closer to my avatar, then closer again. I whispered, "This isn't a mod. This isn't." The chat box lit up one final time. I? Look behind you. And then I heard it. Real footsteps. Not in the game. Not from my headphones. Inside my house. The footsteps creaked across the floorboards, measured and deliberate like whoever or whatever. It was had all the time in the world. I pressed myself against the wall, phone clutched in a death grip, its flashlight trembling in my sweaty hands. My computer screen still glowed, casting blocky shadows across the room. On it, my character stood frozen. The fog had swallowed everything except that shape, the tall, jagged thing flickering closer with every second. The thing twitched closer. Its feet didn't match the sound of the footsteps, like reality and rendering were out of sync. My lights buzzed and flickered with every movement. Again, every device answered instead of it. I? Not the first. Not the last. My TV screen crackled louder, showing blurry images now, old Minecraft forum pages, usernames I didn't recognize, threads from years ago. They scrolled past too quickly to read, but I caught words flashing across the chaos. Missing? Corrupted? Don't download. I shook my head, choking out, "Why me?" The voice glitched, fractured into 3 layers, before sharpening again. Hey? Because you were curious. Because you clicked. Because you wanted more. I swallowed hard, while rising in my throat. Every horror story I'd ever heard. Herobrine sightings, cursed mods, haunted servers. Suddenly felt less like jokes and more like warnings. Warnings we laughed at. Warnings we ignored. The entity, Steve, Herobrine, whatever this unfinished thing was, took another step. This time, I caught it out of the corner of my eye, flickering from one side of the room to the other. Not walking, jump cutting. Its body phased, textures warping. The blue shirt stretched, splitting into flesh, pixels, then nothing. A smear of red flickered across its torso, gone in an instant. My stomach lurched. It whispered again, directly into my ear this time. Are I? They left pieces of me everywhere. In the code. In the mods. In you. I flinched, stumbling forward, nearly dropping my phone. Get out! I screamed. Stay away from me. The screens laughed, or maybe it was the entity. The sound came from everywhere. Layers of chuckles overlapping, digital distortion warping them into something inhuman. Seemed to linger even when it was off. My keyboard keys were misaligned. My mouse jittered like it had a pulse. And that block, the red glitch thing, still there, tucked in the corner of the folder, taunting me silently. I knew I had to find answers. If what happened last night wasn't just a glitch, then I was dealing with something older, deeper, and far more dangerous than any mod I'd ever downloaded. I booted up my laptop, fingers trembling, and started digging. I went through forums I hadn't visited in years, old modding communities, archived threads, Reddit posts that had been deleted long ago. I searched for keywords like 3 a.m. download, night resource mod, and even Herobrine corrupted file. Archived online. Screenshots of private channels showed users panicking over corrupted files. One in particular caught my eye. A post titled Night Resource 3 a.m. mod, do not open. Beneath it was a blurry image of a block, red and pixelated, exactly like the one sitting in my folder now. Comments below the post indicated the user had disappeared within hours. Their final message? A single line of garbled text. I couldn't make sense of it, but it looked like the code had been eaten by something, corrupted beyond recognition. I realized then that I wasn't just dealing with a broken game. This was a curse or something coded, digital yet sentient, that fed on curiosity, on interaction. It didn't care if you were young or old, rational or skeptical. All it cared about was attention. My chest tightened. I could feel it, an almost tangible presence brushing against the edge of my awareness. The rational voice in my head begged me to shut everything off, run outside, burn the computer. But I couldn't look away. The red block pulsed faintly on my old Minecraft folder icon, a heartbeat that matched my own. And then, almost imperceptibly, I felt it, the same vibration from the other night, low and resonant, as if the digital world was pressing against the real one. I realized in that moment that research was only half the battle. Knowledge didn't protect you from it. Curiosity didn't protect you. Nothing in the real world could untangle the thread I had pulled by clicking that download. And then it said softly, almost kindly, "Alright? I can finish what they started." My body snapped out of paralysis. Instinct, adrenaline, whatever it was, I bolted. I dove for the door, yanking it open with such force it slammed against the wall. My hallway was pitch black, but I didn't care. I ran, stumbling barefoot across the cold floorboards. Behind me, the screens continued to flicker, chat logs spilling across them, following me like a taunt. You can't run. You clicked. You belong. The house wasn't silent anymore. Every step I took echoed with a delay, like my movements were being mirrored a beat too late. From the kitchen, I heard the faint, sharp clack of my keyboard still typing on its own. I didn't stop. I shoved myself into the living room, chest heaving, heart hammering. For a moment I thought I'd escaped, until I saw the television. I hadn't turned it on in months, but there it was, glowing faintly in the corner. Minecraft terrain stretched across the screen, except not any biome I'd ever seen. The landscape was endless, jagged red blocks spreading like a disease, with unfinished, flickering figures wandering inside. And in the middle of the screen was me. Not my skin, not my avatar. Me. A blocky, distorted version of myself, trapped in the game, staring directly into the camera. I stumbled backward, whispering, "No, no, no, no." The laugh came again, glitching louder. The unfinished Steve flickered into the room, closer this time, as though reality itself couldn't keep him contained. I ran for the front door, fumbling with the lock, hands shaking so hard I nearly dropped the key. Beaming face with smiling eyes. Behind me, the voice purred. Uh, I'm not finished. The lock finally gave. I yanked the door open, cold air rushing in, and sprinted into the night. For a moment, silence returned. Just the sound of my ragged breathing, the crickets outside, the distant hum of streetlights. But when I looked back at my window, the glow of my monitor spilled out into the dark. And in the glass, I swore I saw him, unfinished, waiting. I'd escaped, for now. But I knew it wasn't over. Because you don't just walk away from something like that. I spent the next day, or at least what passed for a day, I'm not even sure I slept. My room felt different. Every time I glanced at my desk, the faint glow from the monitor. Most results were dead links. Entire threads vanished as if someone had scrubbed them from the internet. But a few remnants remained, half hidden, like digital footprints that refused to disappear. One forum had a single, unedited post from 2012. The user claimed to have downloaded a mod late at night, around 3 in the morning, and experienced things that shouldn't exist in code or in life. The account was deleted the next day. Another user tried to respond, asking if they were joking. The reply never posted. I scrolled through more threads. People reported vanishing mods, corrupted Minecraft files, even screenshots that captured figures in their own bedrooms, but always pixelated, always impossible. A common pattern emerged: the 3 a.m. downloads. Each warning ended the same way. Don't. Just don't. If you click it, it sees you. Maybe some of you remember these threads. If you do, comment below. I'd love to know if you ever saw the posts, because half the links I followed now lead nowhere, replaced by nothing at all. I dug deeper into old Discord servers. Every rational part of my mind tried to argue. It's just a file, I told myself. A mod. It's harmless. But the red block, that lingering pulse of corrupted data, and the whispered messages from the other night contradicted every ounce of reason. I tried deleting the folder. Trash emptied. Files gone. My heart raced as I rebooted the computer, expecting relief. But when it restarted, I froze. A message blinked across my desktop. Not in any program. Not in any chat. It appeared on the desktop itself, white letters on black. You shouldn't have tried to erase me. The screen flickered, the letters glitching in and out like corrupted pixels. My cursor moved slightly on its own, hovering over a folder I hadn't seen before. Read it through. I opened it cautiously. The file wasn't text, not really. It was corrupted, unreadable strings of code and symbols that twisted on themselves. I tried opening it in different editors, hex viewers, even Notepad++. Nothing. Just a screaming wall of digital nonsense. I felt a faint prickle across the back of my neck, like the thing knew I was trying to peek inside. And then the computer did something I can't explain. It shut down for a fraction of a second, then booted itself back up. Faster than ever. Faster than my laptop should have been able to. The screens across the house flickered on. My monitor, my phone connected to charging, even the TV in the corner I hadn't touched. Every device displayed the same corrupted text, scrolling endlessly. You dug too deep. And just as I considered pulling the power cord again, a new message appeared. This one in a plain system dialog box, letters clean and white against black. Look outside. But I knew better. I don't know how long I stared at the window before I understood. The world outside wasn't right anymore. Not outside. Not in my room. Not anywhere I could reach. The moment I looked, the subtle bleed between the game and reality escalated into a full-on invasion. Walls I knew for years, my posters, my shelves, even the doorframe shifted pixel by pixel into blocky, jagged versions of themselves. The carpet beneath my feet folded into sharp cubes. My desk, my chair, the lamp. Every object became a twisted, voxelized copy, like Minecraft had started rendering the real world in its own image. I panicked, lunging for my phone to call Derek. Discord rang once, twice, and then static swallowed the line. I could hear his faint voice, distorted and warped, saying something I couldn't make out. Dear, and then nothing. The call ended abruptly. Okay, this is not happening. This isn't happening? I whispered, hands pressed against my face. The red glow from the corrupted block in my mods folder reflected in my eyes, pulsing like a heartbeat. Every pulse seemed to sync with a new shift in my room. The ceiling stretched upward, clouds rendering themselves in jagged cubes, casting flickering shadows that didn't match any light source. My walls now displayed terrain I'd never seen in any biome. Trees grew sideways, rivers ran uphill, and the sky overhead alternated between night and a molten, corrupted red, like it had been broken in half. I tried to flee, moving toward the front door, but the hall stretched impossibly long, like the world had expanded in the wrong dimension. Blocks rose beneath my feet and fell in front of me, forming walls that weren't there a second ago. My room, my house, my entire neighborhood. It had become a voxelized nightmare, a warped mirror of Minecraft maps I'd built, but far more hostile, far more alive. I shouted Derek's name again and again, pounding on my desk, my phone, my door. Nothing. No answer. No connection. Just the persistent hum of digital distortion, like the house itself was alive, rendering and recalculating in real time. And then I saw it. I don't know how to describe it. Not yet. One last mob appeared before the blackout, something I couldn't identify, something I'll never forget. Its presence was enough to make my skin crawl, my stomach twist, my heart pound against my ribs. But I can't describe it, not now. Not yet. I stumbled backward as my vision swam. Blocks rose, fell, and folded into one another, shifting faster than I could comprehend. The house had ceased to obey physics. Every object, every surface, every shadow flickered between reality and game logic. The air itself seemed textured, a mesh of green and brown voxels. My body gave out. I collapsed onto the cubic carpet, trying to shield my eyes. My mind screamed to shut everything down, rip the power cord, smash the devices, but nothing would stop it. Minecraft had consumed the world. I thought of my friends again. Derek, the old Discord servers, the forums, gone. Unreachable. It wasn't just me here. I realized then that anyone who interacted with the mod had become part of this cycle. Trapped in their own world, their own narrative pulled into the game's domain. The last thing I remember before everything went black was the sensation of the red block pulsing in my hand. That same heartbeat, almost comforting in its rhythm, syncing with the corrupted world around me. And then silence, except for one sound, my own breath, and the faint memory of the pixelated zombie at the foot of my bed. The same one I had woken to at 3 a.m. And just like that, I was back there. Everything had reset. The cold, dark room, the faint hum of the monitor, that impossible, blocky figure standing at the foot of my bed. And I knew with a sinking certainty that this nightmare wasn't over. It had only just begun. I survived. Somehow I made it out of that night alive. My lungs still burn when I remember the suffocating weight of those blocky walls closing in, the corrupted mobs moving in ways no code should allow. My heartbeat has never settled completely. Not since. The house looks normal again. Mirrors reflect familiar walls, the carpet feels soft under my feet, and the lights work without flickering. But I know better. Every so often, in the dead of night, I hear it. The faint tick-tock of a keyboard typing by itself, the faint hum of the Minecraft launcher booting up, the quiet whisper of blocks shifting across my floor. My computer, it's gone. Wiped clean. Factory reset multiple times. The mod, the corrupted block, the unreadable readme.txt, everything is gone from the drive. Yet sometimes, in dreams, I see it again. The red pulse of that block glowing softly in the corner of my vision. Derek, and the others? Offline forever. Accounts deleted. Messages gone. Servers abandoned. It's as if the people who had brushed too close to the mod vanished into another layer of reality, leaving only fragments behind. There is, however, one thing I saved. A fragment of the readme.txt, the line that stuck in my mind from the first moment I opened it. I can't fully explain it, and I certainly won't show you everything. But this one line, it lingers, like an echo of a world I barely escaped. You dug too deep, and now you belong. Every time I hear the startup chime of my old computer in my memory, my stomach twists. Every time a keyboard clacks in the silence, I flinch, half expecting the block to materialize before me. I tell this story now because I have to, because if I don't, it feels like the darkness might find me again. And maybe some of you reading this, some of you curious enough to click a download at 3 a.m., will understand the warning. If this video disappears from the internet, if it's gone tomorrow, you'll know why. Not because I want it gone, but because some things in this world or beyond it don't like to be remembered. I still play Minecraft sometimes. Not mods. Not anything suspicious. Just the plain, safe vanilla game. But even then, I catch a flicker in the corner of my vision. A pulse on the blocky horizon. A shadow where none should be. And I know, deep down, that this isn't over. That the line between game and reality is thinner than I ever imagined. I survived. But the red block is still out there. Somewhere, waiting for the next curious hand to reach into the wrong folder at 3 a.m. And maybe, just maybe, it's already watching you. So that's what happened. That's how a single click on a free Minecraft mod at 3 a.m. turned my world inside out, tore apart the boundary between code and reality, and left me staring over my shoulder for months afterward. I survived. Barely. And I hope, if you're listening or watching, you take my warning seriously. But just because I'm here, telling this story, doesn't mean it's over. Far from it. Sometimes late at night I hear it again. That faint click of a keyboard that isn't mine. The soft thrum of a monitor powering on when everything is supposed to be off. The unmistakable pulse of that red block somewhere just out of sight. And now I hear it again. Minecraft's startup music. Soft, warped, and faint, but unmistakable. I didn't press anything. I freeze. The room feels colder, smaller. My hands tremble. That glow in my peripheral vision flares ever so slightly, like a heartbeat just beyond reach. If you think you know what this mod really is, drop your theory below. I'll be reading until I can't, because the truth, the line between game and reality isn't just thin, it's porous. And somewhere, just beyond the edges of your screen, something is waiting, watching, listening, breathing, and maybe, just maybe, it's already behind you, shaping the blocks of your world as you read this. I shouldn't even be saying this, but click.